watching the viewing in Westminster Hall on the 15th of September 2022. Queen Elizabeth II lying in state, so everybody can come and see her. I love these changing of the guard formalities. The guards that are on duty have their heads down, looking at the ground, and then they slowly bring their head up as they get ready to move on and let the new guard take over. It's about every 20 minutes. Now, changing takes about 15 minutes, and I guess they get about 5 minutes to get back to their base station, and then they repeat the whole thing so that the guards don't get too tired, don't fall out, or have other health problems standing there too long. And plus, it's a real honor to be able to stand there and guard the late Queen Elizabeth II. I've seen male and female beefeaters and a couple of real young people looking like they are just starting out as royal guards. And he puts his head down. And it's very interesting. I've seen all kinds of people. And they have special rituals that they do, which mean something to them. And it's interesting to see the different rituals people do as they go by the casket. Some just nod as they go by. Others make the sign of the cross. Some put both hands up to let you know that they're saying a prayer and they don't want to be moved on quickly. Very interesting to see all of the things happening. And this is historic. This will be something that you can mark time by. This was a 70-year reign by Queen Elizabeth II. So that means the last coronation, her coronation, was 70 years ago, and now it's going to be repeated for King Charles. And it was 70 years ago that her father died, and they had a funeral for him just like this. But it's been 70 years since this happened, and so this is the best funeral they can provide. This funeral is to top all funerals. That casket is lined in lead, and when those guys, there were only 8 guys carrying that thing, and that was real heavy. And I was afraid one of them was going to fall down and have that casket go crashing to the ground. But they all made it. They all stayed up and got the casket onto the viewing table without any problem. But that must be very, very heavy. They didn't say how much it weighed, and they said she would not be buried in any jewels. They don't want anyone coming down there trying to crash into her casket trying to find some jewels. So they said she's not going to be buried with any jewels, but they didn't give any techniques. I would like to know exactly how did they embalm her? What did they use on her skin and hair after she died. And they never said exactly why she died. They never gave an exact diagnosis, which I find is very unusual. You would think they would say, it was a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, lung problems, COVID. She had COVID a couple of times before she died. So it's kind of a guessing game. Everybody's blaming all kinds of things on her death. But she's 96. It's expected. She might have wanted to make it to 100. But at 96, that's a really good length of time. And it means, she's been there a long time. She's been there a long time. And so it's expected death. And certainly COVID can easily take out somebody who's 96 years old. It's taken out a lot of people who were much younger and much healthier. She was trying to hang on, and I guess she was trying to hang on to see if Charles could be bypassed, but Charles was hanging in there, and I believe he's 76, he will undergo a coronation in about a week or so after she is buried in a few days. Then his coronation will take place. Now, both of these things cost millions of dollars, having this huge funeral and then having the coronation of Charles is going to be millions of dollars that will be paid for by the British people. And depending on how long Charles lasts, that might be another funeral and another coronation for William. So this can get very expensive very fast. You see people bowing. And most of the people who've been guarding the viewing have been very nice to the visitors. They're not rushing them. Every once in a while there was one lady who seems to be rushing people along, but most of the people are very nice and allowing people to come through at their own pace. They expect about 1 million people to come through, so I guess there is some sort of timeline to get people through the viewing. But they seem to be very nice and not pushing people around or rushing them through too quickly. I don't see any cameras, so I don't think they allow cameras inside. I haven't seen anybody take any pictures. There's somebody pushing them along. But each of these gestures means something to these people. And it's interesting, the gestures that people do use to say goodbye. Now they have people on the side who are able to come in and stand. They could be people who are in the government. They could be other people who don't have to just do the walkthrough. They can come and stand and have a longer time to observe. Some of them, I'm sure, are security. And the public only sees a certain amount of what's going on. A lot of people bring their kids because they know that this will be something their kids will remember. You know, how old were were you and where were you when Queen Elizabeth II died? It's kind of like, where were you when John F. Kennedy was assassinated? People remember these things and they mark that in their timeline along their own lives. For everybody, this is pretty much the only royal funeral they're going to see. Now, we did see Philip's funeral, but he was not the king. He was the king consort of the queen. So this is the first ruler that we saw die and have a funeral. Now, the other interesting thing, Meghan, of course, was involved in this funeral. She is the first American to be involved in a royal funeral in England. She is the first black female American, or just black American, to be involved in a royal funeral as a family member. Never in history. So she has a bird's eye view from right after death, and she will be there for the whole event, and she will have this in her history that she was there, and as an American and as a family member and as a minority, she saw all that went on during a royal funeral. No one else can say they've ever done that in America. They had a dinner with the family members yesterday, and they had the procession yesterday where they walked for a long period of time, about 45 minutes or more. It's for about 45 minutes or more walking, and then they had the service. So those people were out there for a long time. Some of the people are very old, so you wonder, how do they handle their bladder problems, dizziness, and all the other things that go along with walking so long. You know, maybe some had to wear diapers or bladder, urine bags. But there was a wide age range, and because she was so old, a lot of the people in the procession were very, very old. And of course, there's always Princess Anne, who is so cute in her uniform. She's very serious. She is a very, very serious royal family member, very active in the family, and she is just adorable. I like to see her doing her duties, because she is real, real serious and interesting to watch. I didn't see much interaction between Kate and Meghan, so I think they still have some ways to go in order to make things better for them. But Harry and William seem to be doing well together. And I think William's going to need Harry if he's going to be king. So we'll see how that works out. But Kate and Meghan will have to work out some sort of arrangement so they can get along. And there's going to have to be some trust built.